Well, Rainbow, look at this Yule tree that we put together. Yes, Twink, this is the Yule tree for Rainbow Land, even though the star is kind of not straight, but then again, it is the thought that counts. Yeah, and I need to say, Starlight says that this is a good looking Yule tree. We might have to straighten it out a little so it doesn't look like it's falling over. But at the end of the day, it's still a good Yule tree. I mean, we put a lot of time and thought into it, you know? Yeah, I do happen to think that myself. I think that we did, put a lot of time into the Yule tree. Well, then tell me, Rainbow, why does it look like it's gonna like flip over? What, like once it looks like it's not straight? I don't know, Twink. It's not the straightness of the tree. It's what the tree is a showing of. This tree has a star, and the star on top of the tree was the star that led the wise men and the shepherds and everyone else to where Jesus was born, so they could meet the Son of God, so they could see the gift that God had given to mankind and womankind. And this star was always to be shown that God kept his word, that God would free mankind and womankind from sin, that he would make it right. And that star was the way of God keeping his oath. And God always keeps his word, and he always keeps his oath. If he says he's going to do something, then he does it. And that star was showing the oath that he was going to free mankind and womankind from sin. And you do know that that is what that star is about. Yes, Rainbow. Everyone knows, or at least everyone knows, that that star was the star that God put in the sky to let everybody know that Jesus was born, and to lead those wise men, those shepherds, and all those other folks to where Jesus was born, so they could meet him, so they could worship him, and so they could be happy in knowing that God kept his word and gave them a gift, and his gift was his son, and that Jesus was the gift that God gave. And the gift that God gave through Jesus was to have one's sins atoned for, one's sins cleaned away, and to have a stead in heaven through God and through Jesus. And that star was God's way of showing that he had kept his word to mankind and womankind all those many years ago. Yeah, and I always want to know another thing. A lot of folks say that Jesus wasn't born in the 12th month or wasn't born in the first month or whatever month they say. Well, that is true, Twink. The Holy Book does not say when Jesus was born. It does not give you a month, date, and year or time. So your guess is good as mine. And for folks who think that he was born earlier or later, well, I guess they can believe whatever they want, since the Holy Book doesn't say so, doesn't say when he was born, but it says how he was born. He was born of Mary, who was the husband of Joseph, and they were not that wealthy. They didn't have that much gal to begin with. Joseph was a wood craftsman by trade, and one day the Kaiser, the Kaiser of Romish land, wanted everyone in Rome so they could know how many folks they were living in Rome itself, and also in its Reichs. So they had to go all the way from the Holy Land, which at that time was a settling of Romish land, and there was no room in the inns, no room anywhere. The only house they got to be in was the barn where all the livestock was at, and that was where Mary and Joseph spent their night, and that is where Mary gave birth to Jesus, and that is where Jesus' story, his Jesus saga and tale begins. But the truth is, his saga and tales goes back to when mankind and womankind first learned how to sin. And since God never liked sin, the sin made man and women dirty in God's eyes due to the sin. So they were not clean and could not get to heaven, even no need how good they were. But God and Jesus made it where those sins were atoned for. Those sins were cleaned away. So now we have our stead in heaven through God and through Jesus. Well, I guess you're right then at the end, Rainbow. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll never truly know what month, what date, what year, and what time Jesus was born. But we can make a guess and think that it was the end of the BLs, because when he was born, it became the YLs, you know. But it's not about when he was born, it was how he was born, and it was about why he was born. You got that right, Twink. I think, Rainbow, you did really good making this Yule tree. And I like it. Even if it kind of is unstraight, but then again, that is how everyone is. Everyone is flawed. No one is flawless. We are all made in God's likeness, but we're all not the same. But inside, we are the same. So this tree, it's not what it looks like from the outside. It is what it looks like in the inside that reckons. Well, good thought there, Starlight. A really good thought there, Starlight, about how the tree looks flawed from the outside, but it's flawless in the inside.